Land investors, what's up, guys? If you are watching this right now, this video has probably found you at the perfect time. All right. Today, we're going to be breaking down how to get sellers back on the phone, whether it is a proactive measure or a reactive measure. I'm going to break down the top 4 ways that I have found that help me boost every single chance of me getting a contract signed once I've got especially a verbal from a seller. So follow along. If you stay till the end, we'll got a fun little freebie for you. So you should see it live on the screen here in a little bit. So to get us started, the whole premise of everything we're going to be talking about is this cool little title that probably helped you click in called Stop Getting Ghosted. All right. These are the frameworks that I have used time and time again in our business and other businesses to help land investors close more deals, because if you get sellers back on the phone, more often than not, it helps you close more deals, okay? One person that comes to mind that had implemented a lot of this stuff really, really well was a guy I had coached a couple years ago. His name was Dan, and I remember they were pretty successful. They were getting about 2 contracts signed almost every week at this point, but we're running a pretty big operation. The first week, they had truly implemented everything we're going to be talking about in this sheet. They got 6 contracts signed. So that's a 3x within a week. So if you truly apply this stuff, you can grow your business really, really fast. I obviously don't guarantee that. The success is on you, but this stuff works. All right, so let's dive in. I want to first talk about how we can be proactive when it comes to getting our sellers not ghosting you at all, right? And the way to do that is, as soon as you get a verbal from a seller, let's break down, what does a good sales process look like? Okay, so that's big bullet point number 1 here, is just what does it look like to have a good sales process so your sellers don't even have the ability to ghost you in the future, right? It often starts with you getting a verbal from your seller, and you just need to make sure you set some good expectations, right? So let's say a seller gives you a verbal. What are some things I can do to make sure I don't get ghosted after? Well, number 1 is you can try to get your agreement signed live. And here's what that looks like. I've seen it done a couple of different ways, but typically you can get a Zapier integration or something like a gavel.io and just have a couple of variables you need to punch in so that you can generate a purchase agreement very, very quickly. I see a lot of investors say, how am I supposed to get the agreement done quickly? Guys, you can set up automations with DocuSign, with Gavel.io, with PandaDoc. That'll help you spin that up in 30 to 60 seconds. You know what variables change pretty often, right? Timeline, seller name, their address, APN, all that kind of stuff. So if you can set up a process so your agreements can be spun up quickly, well, now that gives you the ability to, the moment we get a seller that says yes to us, get them to sign the agreements live. Okay, what does that look like? I would say, hey, John, we're going to go ahead and, typically our process here is we're going to go ahead and email this over to you. Will you just verify you got that in your email? Could you open that up for me? Okay, great, you got it. While we're chatting, can we start and tell me, is your name spelled correctly up top? Now, boom, you're in the agreement, and you just start walking them through it line by line. When you get to the very end, you simply ask, and hey, did you have any other questions about the agreement itself? No? Okay, could you go ahead and click the sign button here? And we go ahead and assume the sale, right? Boom, now we're moving forward. Once we've got the agreement signed, congratulations, your seller can't really ghost you. Here are some things that if you can't get it signed, or maybe you got some variables you need to do in due diligence, some other things from a good sales process perspective that help us not get ghosted. Number 1 is to set the appointment to go through the agreement. So say they need a little time and want to go through it with their wife or husband, or you need a little bit of time because there's some nuance in the agreement, or maybe your boss needs to approve it. Well, what you can do instead is, how long does it really take you to get an agreement approved? 15, 30 minutes, an hour, right? So go ahead and set an appointment later that day with reminders of saying, hey, it's noon right now. Would there be anything stopping us from getting us back on the phone here around 1 o'clock, right? So in about an hour? No? Okay, great. Well, let's go ahead and dive in. So set those appointments to go through the agreement live. And look, if you're not on a verbal, let's say you're at a different point in the process, I would encourage everybody here, go ahead and set appointments for your next call, okay? So just make sure you've got a time nailed down, not just like a day. Get a specific time, a specific day, and if you can set up a Calendly account, it's like $10 a month. You can have it auto text them an hour before, 10 minutes before. the meeting, so they're prepared to answer the phone a lot of times, right? So quick and dirty, that's some good stuff you can do to have a better sales process so you don't get ghosted nearly as often. Well, now let's move into number 2. So let's say we already have leads that have ghosted us because we didn't have good sales process. Ajay, what do we do then? Okay, that's what these next couple of pieces are. So number 2, the next thing I'm going to get really focused on is how can I increase my pickup rates? If I don't have appointments, people need to pick up the phone for me to get on the horn with them, right? So what are some tactics we use to get people to pick up the phone more often? Number 1 is going to be one that a lot of you have heard me say before. It's called a double dial, right? What does a double dial really look like? So if I call John, right, ring, 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 I'm calling John, he doesn't pick up, I get voicemail. What do? I hang up and I wait 3 to 5 seconds, and then I call him right back. Now, what does that do? It triggers where in John's short-term memory, when he looks at his phone, he's going to see the same number pop up back to back. So you know what we know? It's not a robocaller. It's not somebody with a dialer like a Mojo dialer or Ready Mode. It's somebody manually calling me, right? So immediately your short-term attention is peaked, and now you start asking yourself questions like, oh gosh, did I forget about delivery? Did I leave dry cleaning? Did I forget to pick up a kid? Is somebody in jail? You never know, right? But somebody's calling you twice, and it warrants another pickup. It communicates a level of importance. So people do pick up the phone a lot more often. You'd be surprised. Now, let's say you're already double dialing, or maybe even you're triple dialing, which is the same thing, but you call a third time, right? What else can I do to boost my overall pickup rates? The next thing I would call out would be check if your number is marked as spam. All right, really easy way to do that. Assuming you're calling off something like a smartphone or an open phone or dial pad or something like that, just off that number, call a friend, somebody else in your office, or even your personal number, and just see if it comes up as spam risk. People are a lot less likely to pick up a call that says spam risk, myself included, right? And so a lot of times what I would say is, what can we do to get rid of that spam risk? Well, number 1, register with the carriers. If you're part of our inner circle, we've got an SOP on that. Go ahead and tune into it. If you're interested in the inner circle, you will see a link in the description to book a call and see if it's a fit. If not, no worries. There's tons of resources out there. Number 2 would be work with a service like Number Verifier. What they do is they help scrub your numbers constantly to make sure you don't come up as a spam risk. So that alone should really help pick up with your pickup rates. The last thing with increasing pickup rates would be try to use a local area code when you're dialing, and that doesn't necessarily need to be specific to the property or the person, like super hyper. But I would say if you're in Texas maybe, or even in Oklahoma, try to use one of the major Texas MSAs, right? If you can use a 214 area code for a Dallas-Fort Worth area, you're going to get higher pickup rates in Texas than you will if you're using like a 312, which would be Chicago, or 321, which is Florida. And so you want your numbers to be semi-local if you can, especially if you just invest in a couple of main markets. All right, guys, don't hate me for this, but number 3 is a little saucy, all right? It is what I call some re-engagement text messages. So the premise of what we're doing here is pattern disrupting, right? If you go through, hey, John, haven't heard from you. Hey, John, when can we get back on the phone? Hey, John, did you see that come through? Hey, John, you sound like everybody else. So what we're trying to accomplish is to send over a couple of messages that really make people think and more often than not respond, okay? I've included a couple of samples in the document you should be seeing of messages we've used that have been successful, all right? So the first one is a little bit of Chris Voss, you know, the book Never Split the Difference. It's one of his techniques, but it's just, have you given up? All right, guys, if I get a text message like that from a number I don't have saved, my heart sinks to my stomach really quickly, where I'm like, oh my gosh, have I given up on what, right? You feel like you're disappointing a parent subliminally, the whole world is crashing, right? So it's a good pattern disruptor, though, because you don't get messages like that very often. If you want to take that another layer deeper and maybe be a little bit more pointed, you could say, have you given up on selling your property, right? So a little bit more specific, but the same kind of premise. Now, this third one is a little bit of a wild card, okay? But I love it. And it is, congratulations on selling your property. Now, you might say, wait, what? But they didn't sell the property. Exactly. And so it's a good pattern disruptor because you know it's not a message that they're getting. And oftentimes they respond and say, wait, I didn't sell my property. What are you talking about? Boom, on the phone, call them right back. Hey, John. It seems like I sent the message to the wrong person, but I figured while you were on your phone, it'd be a good time to chat about it. Did I catch you at a bad time here? Boom. Now you're back in. Run the sale. Close the deal. Okay. So that one's a little saucy, but it is fun. Number 4 is this is where we start maybe spending some more money or taking things a layer further, especially if you've got a good verbal here, guys. I do this a lot with leads. If I know I'm going to make, 30, 40, 50,000 bucks the day I get them back on the horn, I'll spend some extra money on marketing like this. The two things that we've done that have worked well is just straight up call from a new phone number. So call from a new phone number because they're probably blocked you or ignoring you from the number you've been calling with for a couple of weeks. If you can call from a brand new number, they're going to be a little more curious, especially if you're triple dialing these suckers, right? Number 2, we've done this successfully multiple times. Send a physical gift. This is what really distinguishes you from other telemarketers, so to speak, where when you get a physical gift at somebody's doorstep, it communicates a couple of things. Number 1, you're important. How many physical gifts do you really receive aside from your spouse ordering too many Amazon packages, right? And so when you send over a physical gift, whether it be sweet treats, we do cookies and desserts a lot, whether it be we do flowers a lot. We actually have a 1-800 premium account, 1-800-Flowers premium account. We've done Applebee's gift cards. Most people have an Applebee's within about a 30-mile radius. So there's some levers you can pull. I've done $5 Starbucks gift cards really just to get people back on if I want to do something digital. But if you can send a physical gift to their doorstep, more often than not, you will get a call back, right? People are like, hey, I'm sorry, I've been so busy. Thank you so much for the nice gift. Boom. Now you're back with them. Now, again, there's some risk here. It obviously costs a little bit more money. But if you know you've already got a verbal, there's a deal on the other side of that connection. So, guys, we've been over 4 main pieces here, right? We talked about what it looks like to have some good sales process so you can't get ghosted. We talked about increasing pickup rates. We talked about re-engagement text message. And then we talked about new forms of outreach. If you implement all 4 of these, I can almost promise that you will get more people on the phone. And as long as you have good sales and continue to make more offers, you will close more deals, okay? If you liked this, let me know. Go ahead and give this video a like, subscribe, leave a comment with any questions that you've got. We should actually have a link below to download the Stop Getting Ghosted PDF that we walked through here with you. So if you go ahead and click that link, you should be able to get access to this. You have it internally for you and your teams. But if you guys have questions, let me know in the comments. See you on the next one.